With every passing moment, thoughts of you run through my head. Every time that I'm near you, I realize that you're heaven sent. Oh, I think you're truly something special. Just one my dreams are really made of. Let's stay together, you and me. There's no one like you around. Alright. There's no one concerned. Really want you done to me. I can't really explain it. I'm so into you. I really like what you've done to me, babe. I can't really explain. I'm so angry because you might be the way that you hold me. I could be the things that you say. I'm not too sure. I don't know my life is. Something special. Just one my dreams are really made of. Together, you and me. That's you come to me. I can't really explain it. I'm so easy.
You know, I struggle every week with that, right? They know. I think I'm doing on Soul Train. Good evening. To the mute that so we can get started. Then we are back Friday Night Live with Dr. Kim. Turn your volume down. Yeah, so we don't get the feedback. We are back Friday Night Live with Dr. Kim. Turn your volume down. Turn your volume down. There we go. So we don't get the feedback. We are back Friday Night Live with Dr. Kim. Turn your volume down. Turn your volume down. There we go. So we don't get the feedback. We are back. Turn your volume down. There we go. While I'm still getting the feedback. There we go. All right, good evening. Here we are. Friday Night Live with Dr. Kim. June the 6th. We've been waiting for this night for a while. I've got some very special guests with me. If you've been following, you know that I've been doing this series, Making a Marriage, because being married requires work. It requires intention. And there's so many people in our society and our community who are still kind of down on marriage, apathetic on marriage. They've been broke, they've been hurt. And so this series has been to encourage people that marriages are still thriving. People are still seeking to be married. Marriages are happening suddenly, as they have for this couple that we're talking to tonight. And that with intention, with positivity, with support, right, with encouragement, marriages can be made successful and thrive. And so that's what we're here doing tonight. I'm Dr. Kim, your relationship renovator, where I come to help you get the love you want and keep the love that you need. This is what we do every Friday night from 7 till around 8-ish. And so grab a drink, click the link and invite some friends for this great conversation with this wonderful couple. Pastors Elwood and Janine Harris are with me tonight. So say good evening to the family out there.
Yes, good evening.
To the people. So let me see who's coming in. And so if you, like I said, if you have been following, and if not, for our new subscribers, welcome. Glad to see you here. Those who have not subscribed, you know better. Subscribe so you get these notifications every week and you don't miss out on this great content. Who's in here? We got Janine. Hey, cousin Jackie. Oh, my note taker is here tonight. So we're in good shape. We're in good shape. So if you've been following, like I said, the previous couples, we've had 35-year vets. We've had a long distance relationship over, I think they've been at 4 years. We've got another couple coming up, another lifer couple. And then, some high school sweethearts are coming to close us out. So we've had folks all over the spectrum, but the one thing that has been in common with each couple is the acknowledgement of the uniqueness of their relationship. And of course, the unique love stories that they've experienced and the intention, right, what they've done in making their marriage based on those unique qualities. And so I'm probably going to do less talking tonight than I normally do because they have so much to share. But the uniqueness of this couple that I was attracted to, giving them the invitation to come, is just the way they started and the way they chose to come together, and God being in the middle of all of it. And so for those of you who maybe those, I didn't know this was a church show. I didn't know this was a religious show. It is not, but we acknowledge God when he shows up and when he does what he does. And so even though it is not a Christian platform, I always acknowledge the Father when he does this work. And it's very evident with this pair. And so they're going to share with you tonight how they met. And I think that's the biggest note. So I'm thinking with Jackie, make sure you add that to the notes because a lot of people would miss their person. They would miss their person if you overlooked, again, listening how they started, that friendship, that person is walking alongside the journey. So I hope that some of you open your eyes before the evening is over. I hope this will encourage you to do that. So we already said welcome. Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Let's start at, how did you get together? How did you get together? And then maybe let's start at the end and work backwards. So you are married. So how long have you been? And then maybe we work backward from there. So let's start there.
Well, we recently got married 2 months ago. Next week will be 2 months.
Yes, on April 22nd.
Yes.
Yay! Happy 2-month anniversary. 2-month anniversary.
Yes.
Yes, 2-month anniversary. Yes, indeed.
Yes, and we'll be ministering that night. That's how we're going to celebrate. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly the way you started. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly, Dr. Kim. Exactly.
Okay, so now take us back to the beginning. So how in the world did you meet and then get to this wonderful anniversary 2 months ago?
Well, it was a transition in life for me. I was going through some tragic issues at that time. And Janine and I met through mutual friends. And we, at that time, I was dealing with some tragic issues, as I just mentioned. And she got to find out some of the things I was dealing with through a mutual friend that we had. And at that point, as I was going through those issues, because that was the beginning of a season of restoration for me. It's a theme of man be restored. That was just the beginning. And she would, call me on, different occasions. She left my number on a private message on Facebook. And we, had, a couple of short conversations. I told her what was happening and what have you. And she told me that she felt led of the Father to bless me with certain things. So that's, pretty much where things started, came Facebook friends and stuff. And one night while I was in bed, the Father, told me I needed to get back and get busy about my business. I needed to really be about his business. And I was running away from ministry and what he wanted me to do, my purpose. And at that time, Janine called me on the phone. I guess that next night after I prayed, and she wanted me to become an intercessor in her ministry. And I said I would pray about it. I was, not certain because I've never been, but the Father told me, son, I need you to get back to work. It's time to get back to work. Do this. So I went ahead and did it, totally respecting, her office and her ministry, and, knowing who I was surrounded, I was in a season of mourning. I wasn't really up to anything, and I wasn't out to disrespect her or anyone else in the ministry, because I grew up in a background where women in ministry weren't really respected. Okay. And I wanted to make that clear to her that, hey, I'm here to serve, and I'm not here for anything that would seem disrespectful. So we did that. And as time went on, I became interested in her. I found her to be attractive, but I kept that to myself. 'Cause I was there. To serve,
Assignment.
Do the assignment. But one night after we got finished with prayer, and after one of her, because we met literally during the pandemic. So after after prayer and after one of the virtual meetings, we just sat and talked on the phone, for a good long time. And I told her I liked her. I liked her pictures on Facebook, and I wanted to get to know you as a person. I wanted to know who you were, outside of ministry, and but I was really respectful about it, and we talked. I knew that I was far away from a relationship because I was dealing with tragedy. I was dealing with health issues at the time, and a whole lot of things. My life was tore up from the floor up, as they would say. But it was helpful to have a friend.
Okay, let's stop right there. You said a whole lot, and I was trying not to jump in. First thing, going back to Janine's move, she shares her number in the DM. Now, here's a lot of people, it went down in the DM. But the connection was made, like you said initially, as a friend. I was like, okay, I'm extending myself to this person. And then you're at the same time hearing God say, okay, I need to get back on assignment. I need to get back into the work. And so I just find that interesting, the timing of her reaching out to you, and then you're having this message on the side, and then you listen, right? So you follow through. But I also hope the note takers are note taking or mentioning is the intention that he came into the ministry by making sure that there was no misunderstanding, right? So I'm here on assignment. I do respect the office. Again, something not just happens in the past, it happens all the time now. People still will look at a woman minister and it's like, okay, who is your covering? And unless you can identify a man, then they want you, oh, well, you're just a deacon or just a prayer warrior, and not honor the office, a woman being a pastor. So by you doing that, it was two things for me that I've said to women over and over again. A man being able to say with intention who he is and who you are. And I think that was a really great start, like I said, to the friendship. And then when things moved on and you were able to say, you know what, I think you're kind of cute too. Now I'm still gonna do this work, but I see you.
Right.
That to me, again, because so many women walk around and they're wondering, I don't know, looking for signs and wonders. And I have said over and over and over again, a man, right? Man, a full grown man was interested, will say that. And then guess what? You have the invitation, right, to accept them and move forward. But nobody's gonna sit there. We're not on the playground, and so I can appreciate that.
And that's what I told her. I'm gonna be honest with you. We were grown folk, and I just wanted to be honest about that. At the same time, I still wanted to respect her in her office and who she was. And she made it clear, at that time, in our initial phone call, that she wasn't necessarily looking for anyone. She was about the work of the Lord.
I wasn't looking for anyone at all. Let me chime in.
Period.
Yes.
I wasn't. Can I chime in, Dr. Kim?
Please do.
I think I need to kind of tweak a few things, because Elwood is not going to really get into what he was going through, but he's a widower. I'm going to put that out there.
Okay.
Our mutual friends, I need to kind of lay a little groundwork, just a little bit, because I know that he's not used to being on live podcasts and things like that.
TV,
but what happened was, I got an unction when I learned from our mutual friends that his wife died.
Okay.
And I got an unction. I was very concerned about that. First of all, he lived in another state. Second of all, I wasn't interested at all in dating. I'm so involved in my parachurch ministry and serving my senior community. Plus, I'm what they call a multipreneur. So I've got all these businesses that I'm developing. I have a very, very active, happy, busy life. But then I heard, oh my gosh, his wife passed. That nurturer on the inside of me, that servant that I am in ministry, it just kicked in. Who's going to feed him? How's he going to eat? Where's his family? What is he going to do? Oh my gosh, he just buried his wife 3 weeks ago. So what's going on with him? And that's how that happened. And so what I did, because I'm not in men's DMs, I do want to clarify that. I reached out to him so that I could get his Zelle or Cash App information so that the ministry could send him money so that he could buy food. That's how that happened. That's how that happened.
And I wasn't insinuating that coming at him, but what I did, the point I was trying to make is how sometimes we will get, like I said, the unction, or we'll get a message, you'll get an urgency and say, well, I should reach out to this person. And we're not knowing why.
Right.
but we're not obedient. So I'm just saying there's been
Exactly.
times,
Yeah.
whether it's regardless of the intent, that we'll miss opportunities again. Maybe it's someone we're supposed to network with, maybe it's somebody we're supposed to befriend, maybe they will be a potential.
Right.
Try
Right.
to make so much sense out
Exactly.
of it, we don't move, right? And so you did that, he did that as well. And so I just wanted to make
Yes.
sure that that was clear for the audience, is that when you get those unctions, when you get those a sense of urgency, of course you always test the spirit. I think you always tap into your discernment, but at the same time, I think sometimes we overthink it, we try to overanalyze it, and then we miss the moment. So
Yes.
absolutely. I think that's funny too. That's happened every time a couple has shared their story, that they're like, wait a minute, there's some details there that
Yeah.
that one finds, probably that stands out for them and makes them most valuable. So that's cool. So you make this, so you let her know. That's why I wanted you to jump in on the G. So he let you know, okay, I see you. What was going on at that moment in your mind when he said this to you? Because wow, this is a ministry part. I'm knowing all that he's kind of gone through. How did you
Yes.
receive?
Okay, when he did express how he felt about me, and he was like, I want to get to know you. And I was like, get to know me how? Outside of me, what you mean you want to get to know me? Because I've already clearly stated that, first of all, you long distance. Second of all, yes, Dr. Kim, I did know the things that he was going through, and I didn't feel at that time. Now, mind you, it'll be close to 3 years now that we have been in this amazing relationship. But in the beginning, I was like, you want to get to know me how? How you gonna get to know me? You know what I mean? We're still in a pandy. We hadn't really seen each other face to face yet, if you will. Now on my Zoom meetings, of course, and talking on the telephone, you know how that goes. And so I'm like, get to know me how? And then he explained how he wanted to get to know me. And then I was like, okay, you seem like you're pretty cool. And then of course, our mutual friends not only vetted him, they're like, he's a good guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about him, that kind of deal. So yeah, that's how that happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So then you went on, you said what? So what was your response at that time?
Well, we just, would have, friendly conversations. There, of course, with everything being on the table as it was, and as my wife eloquently put it, there were no expectations. At that time, my focus was me, because things got really tight in Texas, and it was really drastic. As my wife put it, my last person I was married to passed away, and I'm an accountant by trade. I lost my job during that time because I had to be the advocate. It was hard to get back into my field. I wound up Ubering. That started to affect my health. Whole lot of things. I didn't have a stable place to stay. It got really bad.
Yeah.
And that was really the only focus I could have at that time, as she said. You can't really deal with too much when you don't have anything in your hand.
Yes.
Okay. So I found that my wife was one of the few people that would check on me and would continue to see how I was doing, because in that season a lot of people left.
Oh yes, I'm sure.
And I had most of my male friends. I have 4 male friends that I'm close to, one is like a brother for life, even though we had different parents. We grew up together as in our childhood. And I have 3 other close friends, but all 4 of them were married. So there, so, I was trying to, try to make a life in Texas because I felt the Father saying, stay in the pocket. I will take care of you. And I needed to really seek his face, and I didn't seek it further. That's one of the things that I would, if I could, do that over, I would do it. But still, he knew what I was going to deal with. And the name of my ministry that I am going to, not going to, it's already been revived, Kingdom Restoration Ministries. I really got to walk through what restoration really is.
Yes.
Yeah, I really got to walk through.
Yes.
I was becoming a lot more interested in Janine. We, talk. We would talk 1 to 2 times a day. Then it would become 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And we came to a point where, I wanted to go ahead and, ask her in a relationship. But I found out some things about me health-wise that kind of not only scared her, but really shocked me. And also was at a point where I needed to leave Texas because I was really struggling bad. So I took some time last year and went to Kansas to stay with my childhood friend, who I consider a brother, and he's a medical doctor. And one of the things Janine told me, and she would remind me again after I talked with him that night, is that, when the Father was speaking to her, she said, Elwood, you got to fight.
Yes.
That's one of the things. I mean, I respected her call. I respected the wisdom that God has endowed her with, always have, from the very beginning. And not too many men would do that. At least the men that I have been around and surrounded us or have been surrounding me over the years. And it's no coincidence now that they're no longer in my life. However, that's what she said. When I got to my brother's house, that's how I referred to him. That's how I referred to Dr. Troy Simpson. Yeah, he's a chief of staff at the VA in Wichita, Kansas. The next day when I got to it, it was the day after Father's Day, as a matter of fact.
Exactly.
It was the day after Father's Day last year. And he came home from his shift, and he told me, "Oh, let's go down in the basement. Want to talk to you." And sat down, and he looked at me. He said, "Elwood, I don't think you're telling me everything that's going on." I said, "What's wrong, Troy?" Elwood, I'm looking right at you. I've been in this field too long, man. You're actively dying in front of my face.
Jesus.
What's going on? And I didn't really have a steady answer for that. I know that I hadn't been to the doctor. I know that I couldn't get any health benefits down there, Medicaid or Medicare or whatever, for someone that's working a unsteady job with Uber down in Texas. So that was the beginning of trying to get things together. I had to be reminded of the very words that the Holy Spirit gave my wife. At that time, we were just friends, and at that point,
Yep.
I didn't have.
God said he got to fight.
Yeah, I didn't have any expectations, because when we decided to put that off, she was getting ready to go on vacation, and I was kind of surprised, because I wasn't looking to hear from her. She said she was gonna call and check on me and everything, and she was gonna go on her sabbatical. The next thing I know, she's calling me on a daily basis. I was thankful for that. I was just thankful that somebody wanted to check on me, while I was.
We prayed too all the time, Dr. Kim. We prayed all the time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. But I was glad that
After you shared
somebody
everything
that,
Mhm.
yeah. I was living in another man and woman's home. He's married. He's been married for almost 30 years. And his adult children were living at home because they were trying to get ready to do the next side of life. A couple of them were already working. Okay. And things, an accident happened in their home. Something that, that had to be addressed. And I wound up spending 2 weeks in a shelter.
Homeless shelter.
The homeless shelter. And
Yeah.
that's something that hadn't happened to me in almost 10 years. And it was a really difficult thing. And after, I stayed in that shelter, I was in an extended stay for a while. I couldn't go back. I couldn't go back to the house. I couldn't stay in the room that they had me in, So I was really I felt kind of destitute. And at that time, even though Janine had continued to call me and everything, I said, Lord, it's just you and I now. What's next? I mean, it had been like that for a while, and I wasn't expecting to hear from her, at some point. I said, at some point, I mean, everybody's got their own life. I got to figure out what's going to happen. Then Dr. Troy takes me to the doctor and sent me to a vision specialist. And I was told, I had diabetic retinopathy.
Wow.
And it was my 55th birthday.
Yep.
And
it was bad.
It was the quietest ride back to my room. And Troy told me it's gonna be okay. Oh, you gotta hang in there and you gotta fight back. But I
said there's our fight again.
Yeah.
That message.
Yeah, that message, But I was really felt I'm still speechless to this day. Because you're talking about life. And he was telling me, Elwood, if you don't fight back, you're looking at adult daycare, disability, you're not going to be able to work.
Yeah.
And it was pretty rough.
Baby been fighting back too.
Right. So, excuse me a second. Okay. I talked to my middle child. I'm a father of 3. And my middle child, my daughter, had just got out the hospital. And she told me, Dad, I can't get to you in Kansas. I need you to come home. If something happened to you and I can't get to you, I don't know what I would do. So my brother put me back on, he put me on the bus. and I left.
That's when things start happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to humble myself and go home. It was difficult. It was really difficult. But that's when
sure.
that's when things started to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It started to happen. Some things that I didn't have access to, I had access to quickly.
Yes.
I had another friend who was a bishop who mentored me, put me in touch with some excellent resources, and I was able to get things squared away with my with my vision, and I'm really in a way better place than I was at this time last year.
Yes, restoration.
Yes, I thank the Father for that. I was able to reconnect with my career in accounting.
Wonderful.
I was able to get a job without not meeting the recruiter face to face, and I was
That was supernatural.
and secondly, I was selected for the position without having ever met my boss until
Wow.
first day.
Favor. Yeah.
But and it was something, and it was a word that came to pass from my wife, because she told me one time when I was still in Texas, living out of a room, an extended stay. Oh, why don't you, I hear the Father tell me, why don't you try for staffing agency, temporary agency? That word came to pass. It just didn't come to pass in Texas.
In Texas.
How
long you been on that career, babe?
Yeah, and I'm bordering on a year working there. Yeah.
Look at God.
And as we speak, I mean, I'm looking for other opportunities, and where I couldn't get a phone call, down in Texas, I'm getting now numerous phone calls, numerous emails back.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's pause there, because like I said, it's a whole lot more you said. If you all, and they're quiet in the chat, but I need you all to talk to me, and those who are listening out there, how important this was in establishing the foundation of not only this marriage, but any marriage, the transparency that went forth during his valley experience. A lot of people would just ghost.
Yes.
Even in the friendship stage, it's like, okay, I'm going through all types of hell, right?
Right.
Great way of saying it. I'm going through this. So let me just go on over here by yourself. And you said you had a moment where you knew you needed to focus on just what you were doing, but some people will remove themselves. And even if they're checking on them, they'll reject even the check-ins. Even though, like you said, it's very few people that will, because most of us, we find out when we're there, you are alone. Because not only you're pulling away, folks are pulling away from you. But the foundation is laid there, because there will be moments in marriage, right? We say for better or for worse. And so many times people don't experience the worst until after, and they don't know how to handle it. And so not only have you seen him go through the worst, but walk through the worst with him and say, you know what? I see you as my brother first, which again, might teach me a long time ago. If we could do that in marriages, that this is my brother in Christ first. If you're in the natural and not a believer, this is my friend first. Let me see that person. How would I want to be treated, and not what can this person do for me, or this is kind of ugly, so I'm gonna come back when things get better.
Exactly.
When you were like, I thought you were gonna be. And it's not a matter of dating potential, because there's a lot on social media about that. It's about dating in the present, and like I said, and being the friend, being consistent. If I'm saying this is what I want, now this is him at this point, because we heard Pastor Janine say that was not her petition. That was not her
No.
petition initially. But
Right.
I've seen people who say that they want marriage, and what they do want is a long date. They don't want marriage, because marriage looks like this.
Mhm.
That when those reports come that you don't anticipate,
Mhm.
Right.
and then what the repercussions of that is. Now, how do I walk with this person?
Mhm.
Yes.
How do I do this and still encourage? And the other thing, and I told them, when we had our talk a couple of weeks ago, one of the things that I think probably stood out, and Elwood, you can talk about this better than myself. I think one of the things that stood out for me in hearing this is how her tone never changed with you. For her to still see you as a whole human being, and also as a whole man, not a broken man,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
pitiful man, not a sick man. He's still the man I was talking to in this same way when we first met. And so what did that do for you in terms of your confidence in her as a friend, as a woman? And what did that do for you in, trying to move forward through this period that you were going through?
Well, it was huge, and that's a good segue into how we finally got into the relationship. Okay, because at the end of the line, she virtually was almost the only person that's there. That was it.
Y'all listening? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've known a lot of people in life, and I can't say enough good things about my wife. She has shown me so much love and care just as a friend alone. I tell her this all the time, that when I feel your love, when she says, I love you, I not only feel her, I feel the Father in her. And finally, I mean, I've made some choices in life I would take back, but my prayer to the Father was for one more chance. And I'll get it right. I said, I don't know if your prime daughter is the one, and that's how I refer to my wife.
It's prime daughter.
Prime daughter. Because I know she's a true, powerful woman of the Father, of Yahuwah. I don't know if that's who you have for me, or if it's someone else. But in either case, she is the prototype. I told him, I said, I want who you have for me, not who Elwood picked, because Elwood has done enough messing up. I'll be 56 in August. I only want his will. I only want to follow in his footsteps. I had to humble myself and go back home, Baltimore. That's where I'm at now. I didn't necessarily want to be in Baltimore. I still don't want to be in Baltimore, but however, so I can relate to the couple that you had a couple of weeks ago, doing long distance. I was on the line. Yeah. I was online when you did that interview with Gibsons, I believe.
The Gibsons,
Yes. So I can understand. But at the same time, I want to be in the Father's will and want to be doing the Father's will all the time. I found myself living in both my daughters' houses temporarily to get on my feet. and the Father opened some tremendous doors.
Yes, he did.
And
It's for a period of time.
I think it's the second week that I was at my job. Janine and I were texting back and forth, and we started really texting each other every day. Started texting each other in the morning, and we would occasionally talk in the morning and have prayer before I go to work.
Yeah.
We'll occasionally do that. Okay, but I would text her and what have you. And around 2:30 in the afternoon on Thursday, okay, it was October 6th. I was working. My boss had given me some invoices to put in. Mr. Harrison, we need this stuff put in right away, on A, B, and C. So I'm doing that. I had my ringer off, but I saw that it lit up for a message, and Janina texted me, and she had a short message, three words: "I miss you," and had heart on it. And I'm like, what is this? Like, okay, well, yeah. And by that time, Dr. Kim, I really had grown. I was starting to really grow in love with her. I knew that our friendship was starting to take a turn, and and that's how I felt. And I said to myself, okay, well, because it hit me a different way. It really did.
That I miss you hit you differently.
Yeah. I mean, in the afternoon, I said I was going to approach her about this. And I said, I really like her. I really would like to be in a relationship with her. And I really didn't know if she was going to say yes or no. But I said, I'm gonna put it out there. If she says yes, it'll be a wonderful thing. If she says no, then it's okay too. And I'll get along, and I'll know at least I'll know what the Father does have for me. I'll just move on. And I wound up talking to her that following night. It was Friday night.
October 7th.
October 7th. Yeah. I wouldn't find out till later that it was her middle son's birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, it was her oldest son's birthday. I'm sorry.
No, you were right. It was Tyler's the middle son.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But and she said yes, and that was the beginning of everything. So I'm gonna let my wife fill in some blanks or some other things that I may have missed. If I did.
I don't know if Dr. Kim has anything to say, but I mean, he pretty much covered it all in a nutshell. We are growing in love every single day. And Dr. Kim hit the nail on the head. I have been the same from the very beginning. The love. See, he had grew in love first. My growth in love developed after October 7th. I loved him as my brother in Christ. And the agape love was definitely there. But this love that developed in our relationship, I mean, we could talk about any and everything. We can agree to disagree on things and then laugh afterwards. We can talk about everything. We sing to each other. We love music. He's a sports enthusiast. I mean, it's like we've known each other all of our lives.
Yes.
Elwood uses a phrase, we're lockstep. I say we're like a glove on a hand. It's like the right shoe. It's I didn't even want a relationship. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna say this: he's light skinned. I just had a preference. You know, I'm like, ugh. First of all, you long distance. Second of all, you light skinned. Third, I ain't looking for anybody, and I have to really pray about that. And I did. I'm not religious. I have a relationship with my Creator, and I have to go to Him and ask Him about this because, you know, for me, it's been 20 years. I was married before to my husband, and we were together 23 and a half years. And out of that union, we have 4 amazing children. And I raised my children. They're all grown, educated, all business owners, the whole nine. I just made 60 years old myself in April, and I waited 20 years. And I wasn't thinking about a relationship because I was settled and happy. You know what I mean? And it's not that anybody doesn't try two relationships, but it was like, that just wasn't a fit. Elwood is a fit. And God told me, I made you. I know what you I know what you like, but I'm gonna give you what you need.
What you need.
This was what I needed. So much balance, Dr. Kim. And this ain't fluff. This the real deal. And I know who I am. I know who I am in the realm of the spirit. I know who I am in the natural. I know how to acquiesce. I know how to. I'm not only his virtuous wife, as he calls it, I'm his Ezer Kenegdo. I'm his strong helpmeet. I'm his Ezer Kenegdo. I'm his strong helpmeet. Virtuous means efficacious. I'm able to bring forth results. I'm able to push him up. I'm able to encourage him. I'm able to build him up. I'm able to love on him, even in a long distance relationship. Because when we come together, I already know what it's going to be like. That's all I got.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot. And here's another big thing that I heard you say that I've been trying to instill in those that follow. If more people would look to be married for what they can give than what they can get, we would make better marriages. And I've seen it from men and women both. Oh, I want to be married so I can. And it's all about what they want to receive. But what I heard you saying is what you bring to him. And especially having met him in a season where the need was great, right? Again, as a friend, you had already demonstrated, right?
Yes.
That's who I am. That's who my character is. So you don't have to do a PSA, you know, I'm your ride or die, which I hate that expression, you know, but so many people try to sell themselves as that instead of saying, no, I'm gonna just walk with you and you'll see, right? And it's very evident. And then to say that you still felt from him the fulfilling of these needs, right? That some that maybe you weren't aware of, but like you said, that God knew and God showed you that these things, and somebody said this last night, Pam's gonna laugh. I know Pam is watching. And we heard a gentleman say that last night, that if more men also understood that the thing that an accomplished woman, a seasoned woman, an experienced woman wants is far beyond what can be bought or purchased. And so he shows you that his value, right, of what he was able to provide, right? Because a lot of people, I want to provide, or providing what, right? But he shows you he was able to provide even as he was going through. So so there's so much here below the surface that I think, again, people miss and may have missed. And I'm hoping that some people are sitting here thinking about maybe some past experiences, some folks that we overlooked, either from his perspective, wow, this woman might not entertain me because I have all of these challenges gone through or are going through. So now I have to go over here and do all of this work before I even let her know, because we're all a work in progress. Regardless of how we believe we're showing up in the world, we're all a work in progress. All of us are developing and yet masterpieces at the same time.
I had to let myself heal to get to that point.
Yes.
Mhm.
to even see that because, when you make the choices that you just mentioned, Doctor, you really set yourself up for failure. And as I told my wife in a conversation, when we make the decision, our own decisions, then we can never see. We can't because we can't see what God has for us. Because we want to have
Mhm.
everybody has a microwave in their house. That's an absolute staple now. But
Mm-hmm.
some things just don't happen quick. Some things take,
Woo! Say it. Say
and
it.
I had to
Mm.
get back. I had to get back to that. I had to get back to that reality.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's reality wants to be what we see, but what
Mm-hmm.
God sees. I'm just thankful to Him that He would allow me to even be in a friendship, let alone a relationship and a marriage with Janine Harris, that we would, get married. I'm proud of her. I'm her biggest cheerleader. I always want to see her win. That's one of the things I told her early on as we were building a friendship. You know,
Yes, you did. And
it,
I'm winning.
yes, she's always winning.
Yes.
That's
Um,
who she is. That's who she is. But like I said, you were able to recognize that.
yes, yes,
And say,
and yeah, I do feel like I've known her my whole life.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah,
Like we were the little children on the
something
playground playing.
mhm,
you say, okay, and then you find each other here. And some things do take a long time, but I think what you all have also though demonstrated too is a lot of things don't take that much time if we follow, I said, the direction of God, because there's a whole lot of yeses that you all said that facilitated this. And then as you were mentioning that when you proposed that last question, right, about the relationship, you're talking about from October 7th to April the 22nd.
yes, with December
Right.
20,
So you go
December
from a
23rd.
relationship to marriage
Yeah,
Yeah.
from an October
yeah.
to an April. So talk to us about that process because that's not a long period of time. And that's why I qualified you all as one of my suddenly couples. So even though, yeah, there was a trajectory of the 3 years, once the relationship was initiated from that to marriage, that was a pretty quick timeline. So talk to us about the relationship to the proposal and then to the marriage. So I really want to talk about the proposal. I love the proposal.
Well, I would say that the seed was planted the day we decided to be friends. We just didn't know it.
Yes.
Yeah, we just didn't really realize because we will occasionally have talks about relationships and other people, and
Yeah.
and I knew what her and we knew up front what each other liked and all that, the long distance and the whole, and quite personally, before it got to the point where it did, I was looking one day to get a phone call from her and say, "Oh, I met the man. I met the man that I'm going to date, and you know." And I was just trying to prepare my heart for that because I know, I knew I was starting to like her, but
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
but things were really building, to a point after we got into a relationship, and I just knew that I couldn't let her get away. We finally got to see each other around the holidays last year. And I said, I'm going to propose to her. We had talked about it, but Janine didn't really think it was going to take place. And my thing was, this was our first time speaking. I mean, not speaking, seeing each other face to face.
Face to face.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
December 2020. Yeah.
I just, the only thing I wanted to do at that time is just, okay, we get used to one another and, just stay calm, stay cool. And if, hey, if if it's not a fit, then, at least you're all still friends and everything will be okay, and, it snowed the day before and the weather was, we were just talking about this today, not last night. Yeah, that weather was off the hook. Okay. Went to this restaurant that kept talking about that she had been to before called the Medi Kitchen.
Ooh, Mediterranean food, amazing.
Yeah, I enjoyed the food, but it was like the atmosphere was set. I had the ring in my in my hand and everything, and and I was I think that night I was a little bit nervous, for sure, because I didn't know what to expect, and I knew what I was doing. But we had that restaurant all to ourselves, and I proposed to her, and that stunned her. In fact, it stunned her so much that she actually stopped me in the middle of it.
No, what are you doing?
Yeah. No, what are you doing here?
What is what?
Yeah, kind of shocked her,
Yeah, I was shocked.
Yeah.
I bet, because like I said, it's initially your first date, actually. Like your
first date.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was a quantum leap.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And so you said yes.
Yeah.
So you said yes. But look at that. I was so shocked that you all told me that, because I'm like, what's the chance of a restaurant, like you said, you being able to have the whole restaurant to yourself.
The whole restaurant.
Go through a whole lot to do that, right? And so again, some more orchestration of a perfect moment, right? That you didn't just follow through. You followed through on what he heard he was supposed to do, and how it turned out, a moment you all will never forget. So you get engaged, and Take Me Now, but that's December, and then we have a wedding in April, which wasn't initially
right. It was an engagement party turned surprise wedding.
Yeah.
All right, so talk about it.
Yes.
Well, we talked about an October 7th wedding. And all of the people we're connected to, from our officiant to my brother-in-law and sister, because the wedding was going to be at our family estate. And they travel a lot, and everybody's dates was clashing. And so Elwood and I, we have a very healthy prayer life, in addition to, we just have a really good relationship. And we talked about dates and things like that. And 2 weeks prior to the engagement party, he and I talked, you're coming here already for the engagement party, babe. You'll be here. All this flying back and forth from Baltimore to Chicago, even if we have the money, flying is expensive. Yes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So why don't we just go ahead and because he really wanted to get married anyway in April when he proposed to me in December, but he wanted me to have what I wanted. And so it ended up being the will of the Father, because we ended up getting married in April. So we agreed, yes, let's do it. But first, let's contact our under shepherd. Let's contact our officiant, who is Apostle Sharon Peters Ruff. let's reach out to her, get some sound counsel on it and everything. And she said, you all are full grown adults, and this is, we had our premarital counseling and everything. She's like, you're ready, you do it. So we went on and got everything, established, and our guest list was fulfilled. I mean, we had only 50 guests, everybody RSVP'd.
Okay,
So,
wow.
I mean, everybody came and we sprung it on them. And boy, men were crying. Everybody was crying. The men was crying. The security guard was crying. Everybody's, because we surprised. Everybody was crying. They was crying like, oh my God, they're getting married now. What? It was amazing. It was magical, Dr. Kim.
Yes.
We were downtown, right
I
near
got
Navy
to when I
Pier.
saw the pictures, and I was like, what? I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God, who does that? I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So I can imagine being there or something else, because I saw on Instagram. And
I want to show you something. I got to show you this. I got to come off camera. Hold on.
Okay.
I got to show you something real quick. Something
Uh-oh.
Elwood did.
She's full of surprises.
Okay, I'm fixing to show you something Elwood did that was it impressed my heart to the core. He's rebuilding his life. He's rebuilding his finances. He's getting everything in order. And when he proposed to me, this was the ring he gave me.
Okay.
It was a little heart, diamond heart. See that?
Beautiful. Oh, wait, there we go. Oh, that's beautiful.
And he said, I'm going to upgrade you.
Yes.
But right now, this is what was on his heart. And I fell in love with this ring. So at the engagement party, he not only upgraded me, he upgraded the ring and had a wedding band. And this is what he put on my finger.
Wow.
See how God restored his life? So it was never about money. It was never about status. It was two hearts that Abba Father brought together and knitted and joined together. And I mean, we are passionately in love. I'm deeply in love with this man. Because if it was about this, if it was about materialistic things, if I was that type, that has nothing to do with any other women. I'm talking about Janine. I'm talking about me. If it was about any of that, I would have been like, bye, see you. I can't deal with you. We're not doing this. It was never about any of that. It was about him.
Right.
And it's amazing.
Yeah. It is very amazing. Very amazing. So given all of what has happened, friendship journey, the relationship journey, engagement, surprise wedding, and then now navigating the marriage long distance in the short term. What's been the biggest lessons that you think you've learned, and what do you think your marriage represents? Right? What do you think? Because I think every marriage tells a story. Every marriage is a source of inspiration. And so what do you think your marriage represents? God bringing you two together.
Restoration. In fact, I'll go deeper than that. It's not only just the part of restoration and restoring of my life. I used to always hear from people long before Janine came into my life, Elwood, why don't you read Job and, be encouraged in that, Job got double for his trouble after what he went through and the whole 9 yards. And I was getting to a point where I'm like, I don't want to hear about Job.
Okay.
Because I'm like, I made a lot of mistakes that are now not even on Job's level. I also was like, I'm not him also. I just didn't, I didn't want to deal with any of that. But now I understand. I truly understand. And with that, the ministry that we have, really in restoring the family, restoring broken lives of men and women, individually and then collectively, because we have both been through some heinous challenges in our lives before we even connected, before we even intersected in 2020.
Restoration.
Yes.
Second chances, third chances. Yes, that God can do anything, right? Despite what it looks like. Go ahead, Janine.
Yes.
I believe that our marriage not only represents restoration, but unconditional love, the agape love of God. Straight up unconditional. It represents safe spaces.
Yes.
It represents transparency.
Yes.
It represents being vulnerable. And see, I went through some things in my life 20 years ago. Prior to, I wouldn't know him from a man on the moon. And I believe what I went through, the reason why I could receive Elwood is because I already went through, this word is called midvar in the Hebraic language. I went through my desert. I went through my wilderness. I went through the rough terrain. I know what it is to abound and to be abased, like Apostle Paul talked about. I know what it is to suffer want and to have everything. I've had money. I've been debt-free twice. I've had loss of money. I've raised 4 children. I became a single parent all over again after being married and with my first husband 23 and a half years. God took me and put me on the potter's wheel, and I became that clay, and he pulled all the rocks and the brick and the glass and the fragments out and the weeds and all the ugly stuff. And then even as gold is being made and as a pearl is being made, I went through the process, and I know it was divine because how everything happened between him and I. And so I can relax and be like, I receive you so that I can serve you.
Jesus. She said, oh my, I'm about to throw the phone. She said, you can receive him so you could serve him. See what I was talking about? What you could give, but you were saying you recognize it because you've been there.
Exactly.
Journey doesn't have to be the same, right?
Exactly.
But you understand the wilderness experience and knowing what God can do. And knowing that I said it's temporary. He said double for your trouble. I say triple for your trouble. That's what I'm living.
Yeah. Yes.
Man, I was like, look, I said, because you've been there, you judge less, And so
exactly.
You're like, I'll write it out with you because I know what he's done for me. So I know what's possible for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's interesting you said unconditional love because that's what I typed in the chat. That's all I keep hearing. That's all I keep hearing.
I didn't even see the chat. Wow. Praise the Father. Hallelujah.
Unconditional love. I'm doing this because like I said, I'm representing. Again, if I'm representing God, God is love. This is what his love looks like. You can't earn it. You can't earn it, and it's given freely, right? Not because we deserve it, but that's definitely every part of what we need. Every part of
that unconditional love. Dr. Kim, there's a song by Kyrie Joe. Some people say Jobe. And it's what love is this, that you gave your life for me and made a way for me to know him. What love is this, that you gave your life for me and made a way for me to know you. And that's what Papa has done for me in Elwood.
Yes. And beautifully, and suddenly.
Unconditional love.
Yep. Like I said, through obedience, through learning your life experiences, because I've seen some people who have brought through some stuff and then it's given them illusions of grandeur, right? So now that I'm on the other side of this, and so to see you, like I said, having walked through that and not have had amnesia, to walk with that, walk with him with grace, with respect, or mutual respect in this story, his respect from you from the very beginning. And like I said, you respecting him. And like I said, friendship. I love the description of it, because again, so many of these things, which is what I try to do on this podcast and even in my group, is we talk about these things that need to happen and people don't know how. And so I knew that your transparency and your willing to talk would give an illustration of what's meant by that when we're saying, oh, befriend somebody, how to build on a friendship, how to be intentional about moving from friendship into relationships and courtship. These are some things that we talk about up here on higher levels, and folks are really in the dark as to what that looks like. And so I appreciate you all being very clear about your process, what those conversations look like, what those feelings felt like in your own secret closets away from each other as these dialogues were going on, and looking at all of the moving parts, those things that you knew about and those things that each of you didn't know about, but moving in obedience, and trusting timing. And so I'm hoping that those who are listening, if you don't hear anything else, is being able to listen to the inner voice. You heard prayer a lot. Prayer for one another, prayer with one another. You cannot discount that. Prayers that were prayed before they knew one another, and prayers that are still being prayed, because there's so much that I see will be done, right? That will become of your partnership, that will become of your covenant relationship. And so this is just encouraging to me. I appreciate you all coming on tonight. Like I said, both rings are beautiful. I agree, just because they're beautiful. I think anything is beautiful when you know it's given from the heart. But to be honored that way, I mean, girls like stuff like that. So like you said, at the end of the day, we are women. The passion and the love is felt. And I said, we wish you all the very, very best. And I said, maybe they ask you to come on later around that first anniversary and talk some more about that experience. But suddenly it can happen, you all. They heard these birthdays.
Yes, it was sudden.
55, 60. So again, for those of you who are like, nobody out here no more, everybody taking it already, it's whatever. Or
they're out here.
Or I have to settle. Which again, I love the zeal. Like I said, the couples that have been on here, they just giggling and just a smiling. Before we came on live, folks singing to each other. I was like, okay, let me leave. And so all of these things, don't sell yourself short. The desires of your heart can be honored. God,
yes.
It's possible, and they're proof positive that it can be so. Those of you who are wondering, what's the title? She said, what is the title of that song again? Somebody's asking in the chat.
That's Kyrie Job. Is that the one, or the one we started out with?
No, she's talking about Jake Ross.
Okay.
That's Jake Ross. I'm so into you.
Yeah.
No, she wanted the one that you just sang.
Oh, that's Kyrie Job, or Jobe. Kyrie, Kari, Jobe, Jobe. What love is this?
Yeah.
Okay, you got that, Jackie? Thank you. Okay, they got it. All right, thanks for that. All right, so for those of you who are looking for relationships, or you're trying to find direction in your relationships, I'm your girl. I love to talk about things like that. Do some life coaching and relationship coaching. You can find me on Facebook with the Complete Suite is my business page if you want to book an appointment there, or on Instagram, Dr. Kim Complete Suite. I would love to spend about 50 minutes or an hour with you talking about the direction for your relationship or your life. We're here every Friday night, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. Next week, I have a couple of guys, I have some younger folks hanging out with me, and they're going to be talking about what young men are looking for in marriage. I find that's going to be interesting. And then we'll have our the Tumors from Atlanta, Georgia, joining us to close out this Making a Marriage series. But tonight, let's thank you for Pastors Elwood and Janine Harris. I appreciate y'all and love you much. Wishing you the very best on your 2-month anniversary.
Yeah.
And many years to come. Good night, and blessings to my unicorn angel.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
All things possible. Good night.
Thank you. The
Good
pleasure
night.
was mine.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So much.